G'day Bomber fans, it's time for that monthly trade rumour video. We have been linked to quite a few players recently. We've had some players obviously request a trade. It's always interesting around this time of the year for non-finals teams like us, so I'm going to go through each trade rumour I have seen recently, and some would know that I asked you guys the other day if you had any rumours of your own or players you wanted me to discuss, so they are in here as well in this video. And also, a lot of you would be familiar with the legends over at Absolutely Essendon. Well, stay tuned to their channel because quite soon there may be a cheeky collaboration or two, so get keen for that. So Brandon Zerk-Thatcher has requested a trade to Port Adelaide. I made a little video going into detail on it if you want to hear more about that. It's going to be tricky to get done. We will drive a hard bargain as we always do. He wants to return home to family. I think we will most likely see a future second round plus some sweetener picks sent over. It's going to be tough to negotiate though because Port have other deals to work out as well. There were rumours on social media that Archie Perkins met with Geelong and North Melbourne officials. These have since been rubbished by pretty much everyone who has spoken about them. Perkins has been in Europe recently, I think, since his exit meeting. There are always going to be random rumours like this floating around. It happened with Parrish last year as well. It's easy for any board individual to create something out of literally nothing and for everyone else to believe it. Perkins is staying put this year. He is out of contract next season though. Massimo D'Ambrosio was made to wait for a contract extension. He now reportedly has a 1-year offer on the table. He is surveying the market to see if he can get more love elsewhere. I think he stays. It's hard to get deals done for players so fresh in the system. I'd be surprised if he is at another club in 2024. Kaine Baldwin is another who was made to wait on a contract. There are some talks that he has a 1-year deal on offer from us as well. I thought it would come a bit later in the off-season after the trade period, but there are reports he is willing to sign the 1-year deal we have on the table. I'm going to wait until it's confirmed to say it's a sure thing though. On to incoming players. Ben McKay is the main one, the key back we have been linked with all year. In recent weeks we have taken a passenger seat approach as Sydney have leapt into favouritism. The issue here is McKay would rather stay in Victoria, which you'd think would make us or Hawthorn a more likely candidate, but the Swans are willing to offer him a much larger contract than us. He hasn't formally requested a trade yet either, so there's still a very slim chance he stays at North. There's really heaps to play out here. From what I see, we are the second in the chain. It would go Sydney, us, Hawthorn, and staying at North, unless some other clubs come into the mix. Port are out. They have Radaglia and BZT to deal with, so it's just us three and North. Potentially him staying at North. I saw some fans talk about Dougal Howard after he was left out of the elimination final. He went to St Kilda from Port on a fairly sizable deal. It was reported he earns about $600,000 a year, which if true is just nuts because that isn't even that far off what we would be paying McKay. I reckon only 150 to 200k roughly, give or take. So if he came with that price tag to us, I wouldn't want him personally. He is barely a first team player as it is. He is handy, but I doubt Essendon will come knocking unless he significantly lowers his salary. Adam Tomlinson is another one of these fringe defenders. This is the type of player we look for when seeking depth. We need a first team player though. He is probably on the way out, Tomlinson, because he's on the fringe of that team. I doubt it's to us unless it's a last resort. He doesn't really fit our style, I don't think. We need a big key back that can impact other contests and play on the best key forwards. Tomlinson isn't that type of player. He is big and strong, but that's about it. I hope we don't go for him, as I have seen some say we could. Now, Jade Gresham, this is the big one recently. We have been heavily linked in the last few days. He is on the way out of St Kilda, many believe. We are the front runner to pick him up now. He is a free agent, so would cost nothing from a pick side of things. His contract, I don't want this guy if he's going to take up a chunk of our salary. He is a decent player at his best. He gets plenty of the ball and has an attacking output, but he doesn't deserve to be close to our highest paid player, which many think he could be if he joins us. It would be a bit strange for us to hypothetically get McKay and Gresham all but ridding of our salary availability for the next few seasons, especially when we still need a big key forward as well in the side. So this one looks likelier to happen by the day. It really needs to be done with our future in mind though. I don't mind the idea of Gresham on our list, but this screams out to be another one of these trades for outside speed that we spend too much on. It's not an area we desperately need fixed right now. It better not be expensive. James Harms, we've been linked with him a bit last year, early this year. The more I think about it, the more I rate it. We need some leadership and a player from a system that has had success. He is a fringe demon, can play as a pressure mid or forward even. He would be a squad member, not necessarily a first team player, probably pretty cheap as well considering he hasn't been a solidified best 22 member. Another one that depends on how much we pay for him. Orazio Fantasia was sensationally linked with a move back to us. This is false info though. It was shut down pretty quick. He's not coming back. He will stay at Port Adelaide until his contract is done, I'd say. And after that, who knows, but he's not going to be with us in 2024. James Jordon, I was asked about this guy and what he would bring to the table. He is a wingman, a premiership wingman. He's been forced out of that Melbourne best 22 because of Lockie Hunter's arrival. But this guy is really promising. Same age as Durham and Martin, but really good, solid player in a system. I think we all know that Durham gets caught out of position a bit at times. You won't really get that with Jordon. He is super consistent and his workload is awesome. I'm not saying he's better, he's just a different player, but I think it would be valuable to have a player who knows where to be at all times in our squad. Put a little competitive pressure on Durham. He is a free agent as well, which makes a move easier. Sydney and Gold Coast are also interested, the Bulldogs as well apparently now, so he could well stay put though. Alright, now there's been a bit of talk about us and North Melbourne players. Brad Scott trying to get the gang back together. We supposedly wanted to meet with Tarryn Thomas, who still has a year to run on his contract. Brad Scott likes him. He has had a tough few years, obviously. Really promising, powerful player. I don't see this happening while he is contracted, though. It's just going to be way too tough to finalise a trade. He'd probably warrant a first-round pick in North's eyes, and we can't really justify spending that on him with all the off-field issues he has faced. Another one of these North players, this one, though, looks a bit more realistic. Todd Goldstein, veteran ruckman. We obviously need a mature one now that Phillips is gone, maybe for 1 or 2 seasons while Draper and Bryan really develop together. He won't need to play every game, but I think leadership is important. He is a free agent, so a trade won't be required. He is now 34, 35, so there's always that question, should you trade in someone that old or should you find another option? It's an interesting one. I've seen many suggest he plays for a season and coaches after that. It sounds fairly reasonable to me. Jack Silvagni, one of you guys raised this when I asked for rumours. He is a hybrid forward, good size, a bit like Langford. I don't see this happening personally. I think he's staying at Carlton. A contract is on offer now for him, and he apparently does want to stay put. And even then, if he didn't, I would probably want a forward in our team with more size. His role is a bit too similar to Langford's in my opinion, but he's probably staying put anyway. Jack Bytel, another one you guys raised. He is a big-bodied midfielder, really unlucky. He deserved more game time at St Kilda, but was delisted. This means we can offer him a smaller contract than what he would have been getting there, get him for free. And look, delisted players aren't always the best to pick up. They are pretty much rejects from other clubs, but look at Oleg Markov at Collingwood. They can work out. The guy was delisted by Gold Coast and could be playing in a grand final soon. Bytel is 23, 24, never really had a chance. If we have a spare list spot, I say why not, but the question will be whether we have that list spot. We are probably hitting the draft pretty hard. Someone highlighted Jack Ginnivan. This isn't going to happen. He's going to stay put at Collingwood, I reckon. In theory, it's a good idea, but why would he want to move to Essendon from Collingwood? The guy plays at the biggest club in the AFL on the biggest stage. He's a fan favourite. Some will highlight his game time, but he's only young, remember? That will improve over time, so he's staying put. Lohman, this is an official rumour, not a fan-made one. Cal Toomey said we are interested. He is out of favour at the Lions. He wants a move to Victoria. The Dogs are keen, and now we are too. He has had some crazy VFL games, 7 goals and 20 odd touches. He kicks a lot of goals. He provides in attack. I would rate this if we got him for cheap. It would have to be cheap though. On to some draft picks. Many of us want Harley Reid. There is definitely room for a trade to be done for the West Coast prized draft selection, but as it stands, not with us. We simply don't have the draft picks available to tempt them. We have 1 pick each round. The Eagles will want, I think, at least 3 from the first 2 rounds, and most likely 2 of them in round 1. High picks as well. We can't really get pick 1 as it stands right now. We can't offer futures. They're going to want a really good draft hand, unless we get our hands on more picks somehow, but I doubt it'll be enough. Similar to West Coast's first pick, we have pick 4, which is Gold Coast's highest pick. They want to trade this in order to get capital so they can match high bids on academy players. It is 100% available. I really don't see why they would still have this draft selection come draft night. Again, though, not sure if we're the team to be trading with here. There are more promising options for them. Melbourne, the Bulldogs. Our draft hand is not really one that can move up as it is while staying prominent in other areas, so I don't see much activity here. We would love to be proven wrong. There are some really good players high up in this draft. I will put out another draft video this month, I reckon, because I'm a draft nerd, so I love to talk about it. But that is that. Video done. Let me know what you think down below. Anything here you disagree with? Any players you want added to the next rumour video? Cheers for watching, though, and go Bombers.